Welcome to Beyond the Borders podcast,
where every story is a journey and every journey is an inspiration.
Beyond the Borders is all about highlighting the incredible cross-cultural stories that exist in our communities.
We want to provide a platform for their story to shine because they are so important in today's world.
These stories not only celebrate the diversity of human experience,
but also foster empathy, understanding, and connection.
Our mission here is to amplify these voices, so stick around and join us as we explore these stories throughout the season. Hey everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Borders podcast. I'm Natalie, I'm your host for today, and I'm very excited to be with you. In studio, I have my co-host Ian and Rosie joining us, and we have Maryam here with us today. So thank you for joining us, Maryam. We'd like to pass it over to you just to briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I'm so happy to be here and be part of your podcast. My name is Maryam. I'm from Iran, and I've been to the United States for almost 28 years. Prior to that, I lived in Canada for 11 years. I got married, and I moved to the United States. I lived in Turkey, and so basically Iran, Turkey, Canada, and here we are. So,
yeah, thank you. And could you just talk to us a little bit about your life in Iran before you moved from your home country and what it was like?
So if I tell you that, you know how old I am. So we are going back 40. So we are going back to almost 40 some years ago, and it was great. My father was working for the police, and then we used to travel to different cities, and then stay to different cities for or province that we say it for a couple of years. So I moved around a lot. Maybe that's the reason it's easy for me to jump from Canada to United States, or I've been back and forth to California a couple of times. So Iran is Iran, and I just, no matter what, is my home country, and I love it. Growing up in Iran, it was nothing but joy and pleasure. People, they don't know about Iran very well. So some people, they think it's it's a city country in the Middle East. Of course it is. But at the same time, it has lots of culture. People, they call it Persia. We speak Farsi. And it's just a gorgeous land. Very kind people. And the hospitality of Iranian, at least for me, I know it's, sometimes you cannot top that. So food is fantastic. I love their food. Of course, lamb is our favorite, rice. I don't know, it's just it's a very authentic place to grow up. I'm very, very happy and grateful to God that I've been so diverse. I lived around, even with the hardship that I had. Still, I'm in a great place. Maybe it comes with the age. Who knows?
Yeah. Before we jump on other questions, but me growing up, basically, as a Christian, we learn Iran in the Bible as Babylon, or as a great civilization, one of the great civilizations that ever happened. So does it come with do you have that pride? Most of us we learn about Iran in the books and Bible, for Christians, that's, if I may say. Mm-hmm. But does it come with certain pride, being that Persian pride,
Actually, I should say it definitely does. So I'm trying to say no, it doesn't. But I have just put it out there. Yes, it does. Again, the word Persia. It brings me a lot of joy and happiness. I have to mention to you that a lot of things, it's coming with age. So you guys are all young, so I'm just much older. So you learn as you get older. I remember when I was leaving Iran, I just had all these anger and hate and everything about it. And then it seems like with the age, everything is start to settling down. You start to going back and look again and say, what was I thinking? But again, this is coming with the age. It was certain. I should admit that at one point I wasn't very proud of, my country. But now I cannot be any more proud that to be Iranian. Of course, Iranian American as a U.S. citizen, I should bring that up. That I love it here, and that's the reason I live here. But I would never forget where I am coming from. So, and I like my kids. I have two kids. They were born in United States, Ayla and Nima, and they're older now. Well, sort of. They shouldn't know. But now, I love it when they know themselves as Iranian, even though they're American. And we are coming with different background, and that's make America a wonderful country because we are just bringing something as an immigrant to this country.
You just mentioned that you have two kids. How important was it for you for them to have Iranian name, or is it Iranian names that they have?
They both have Iranian name. Ayla, my daughter, is its Iranian name means like a moon. And Nima, my son, is the name of a very famous poet. And both of them, they have Iranian name. Of course, my son used to call himself Jake growing up. I mean, that was funniest thing. And I thought, what do you mean Jake? And now both of them are very proud. And sometimes I have to remind them that, you're American. And they are very proud to be Iranian. They speak very well. Sort of for them to be growing up here for so many years and then being in Iran only twice. They speak Farsi very well. They carry their heritage well. They they call themselves as a American Iranian. So I'm very glad that I don't need to work on that. They are already there. So again, it comes with the age. So I remember Nima didn't like people, they call him Nemo, because I think we don't want to really learn to pronounce people's name properly. And I learned that from my daughter, Ayla. So she keeps telling me, ask a few times what's the name of the person is. So, and then when we were here, we did not have, when actually I got married, I moved to United States, we didn't have many immigrant, or I wasn't surrounded with immigrant back then. So because of that, where they grew up, we didn't have a lot of immigrant. So their name was it was a little bit unusual for some people. The last name is Farhang. Of course, Farhang, seriously, like who is Farhang? And then they used to make, not fun, but they used to ask me, people, they are asking them in school, what are you? And then it was very interesting for me. I mean, and I was thinking, what does it mean? And and then now it seems like people, they have more exposure. Thank God for that. So they know different countries, and the Middle East is not one country. It's like everything, so.
And I wanted to ask you, we've had a lot of conversations as we've done some interviews about a lot of us who identify as, for example, myself, Ghanaian American, or as children, we've had the examples from our point of views. But as a parent raising children in America and raising them to appreciate their culture and heritage, what are some ways that you felt like you were able to do that?
And trying to speak when they are growing up, I used to not answer them if they were speaking English. So my husband grew up here. He was very young when he moved to United States. So anytime he's bragging about his English, I'm telling him, do not say that, you grew up here. So that's the reason your English is better than mine. So, I remember, because he was automatically speaking English English to them. So I was really into, they have to talk Farsi to me. And so you have this gap when they are growing up, and then between age of 10, 14, or at least that's what I think, maybe they are not agree with me, they are having that kind of adjustment as they ask them, what are you? And then they are not sure. We get together with Iranian. The food that we are eating is completely different. So the whole culture is different. The way I dress them up, it was different. So all these things, like, they have a time to adjust. And I am one of the lucky parents, I should definitely say that my kids now, they really appreciate that they do have that kind of a background, that kind of a diversity. So it's life is too short. Yeah. So if you have a basket and you can have bits and pieces of everything, that makes you to grow, and that makes you a different person in a good way. Not that people, they didn't, they are not coming from different background, or they are not immigrant, they don't have that. But for me, for my family, I'm very grateful that my kids, they find to be comfortable in their own skin when they grew up. Sometimes a little bit more comfortable, but that's what it is.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important, especially for those of us who have parents who are immigrants and we're born here. I think it's so important for us to be rooted in our identities and be rooted in our culture. So
that's correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it's amazing that you were able to do that.
Yes. I mean, again, it takes time and effort, but again, I'm grateful that my kids, they did have that kind of potential and interest to know and to ask questions or all that. So
yeah, thank you.
Before digging deeper into before traveling to Turkey, I wanted to maybe talk about the political landscape of Iran a little bit. What do you want people to know about Iran, like on the political, side, but also the women in Iran? What do you want Americans or people watching this thing to know about, Iranian women and the political landscape in the country?
I mean, before revolution, after revolution, all of that, I think the idea of people about Iranian in general, like women or men, is totally different. I think we do have that kind of a mentality that we set our mind about certain thing and then we go with that pattern, that's the way it is. So I think Iranian in general are very strong. Women especially, I mean, we are just the way everything goes with Iran is we do have a prejudgment about certain thing. They are strong people, very educated. They are working, they are driving, and then just the whole setup of our country is sort of, it's like here, people, they ask me, oh, women, they drive. Of course they drive. They go to school, they run businesses and all that. So definitely, I'm a very proud Iranian woman. I cannot just, misjudge that. And then, again, we should read more about different culture, what they do and what they don't. And again, being an Iranian woman, it's my ultimate pride.
Love that. Thank you. I wanted to pivot a little bit and talk about your journey to where you are now, and just kind of what it was like for you. I know before we started talking, you kind of mentioned that you didn't speak English when you were in Iran. So then kind of on that journey to where you are now, you at some point had to learn English, and that was really important. And what were some of the kind of barriers that you faced as a refugee and immigrant, because those experiences are different experiences as well. So what were some of the barriers and some of the ways that you were able to overcome some of those barriers that you experienced on this journey?
So I think the age makes a big difference. I left Iran when I was very young. So when I was in Turkey, I lived in a basically I had a roommate, but we lived in a household of the Turkish family. So my background is I'm Kurdish Iranian. So I didn't know not from the part of Azerbaijan that some people they speak Turkish. So I learned Turkey right in Istanbul when I lived in Istanbul. So I remember when I got there, again, I was like 19, something like that. And I always surrounded myself with only Turkish people because I think what I learn is they have a saying that the first 5 years of your move or your migration is the most important part of time actually that you learn your language. Seems like after 5 years people they learn some kind of a comfort zone, where to go, what to do, who are their friends, where they should do their groceries and how to take the bus. And then when you come to that comfort level or comfort zone, you do not want to learn English anymore or any language that anywhere you are. So not English particularly. So I knew that from the beginning that I have to isolate myself from my own language to be able to learn. So language is the first thing that you can get yourself familiar with the culture. I mean, nobody will suffer except yourself if you don't know the language. I mean, people, they are scared that the language is, they have to forget their identity. That's got nothing to do with that. Like, you want to have a communication or conversation, finding a job to be able to navigate your way around. And what I see with my work, a lot of people that they have their children, they grew up here and the parents, they never learned the English. Now you can see kind of a separation between the family and between the parents. I go to a lot of schools, school district, and then different kind of school district that people, parents, they do have a lot of issues with their children because they never understand them. They come home, they speak English and all that. So for me, that was in Turkey. I remember being there for a few years. After that, I would speak Turkish language very fluently. Even I didn't have an accent. At least I didn't think I have. People, they told me that. And then after that, through a journey, I end up going to Canada. My brothers, they lived in Canada. I lived in Toronto. And back then, the immigration system in Canada was great. Maybe it is now, but I remember that about 40 years ago. I mean, we used to get a lot of, they would give you a very good package, a lot of money and all that. But I don't know, somehow it didn't work out for me. I had some kind of a pride, Iranian woman's pride, so that I didn't want to get a lot of help from the government. So I started working in a donut shop. So in the morning I was going to school, and then at night I was going, morning school, night from 3 to 11 I was working in a donut shop. So my school was east of Toronto and my work was west of Toronto. So basically I was leaving early in the morning and get home around 11. Actually more than that, 12, because I wasn't driving or I didn't have I had to go with bus and subway for almost all day. So now when I do my intake or when I talk to some, I work at the ACC, of course, when I talk to some new arrival and then they keep asking me, you don't know, I'm not here to tell them my story, but time comes when like they are really saying, oh, you don't know how hard it is, that not driving and all that, then I say, don't say that. Nobody knows anybody's story, so do not tell me that I don't know. I know very well. Again, I don't want to go back very much in detail about my past. So if you're talking about the hardship, definitely I had plenty of that. So, and sometimes people, they tell me, oh my God, you're good with it and good with that. And how is that possible? I think it comes from the hardship. Time was that I was really keep asking the question, oh my God, why is me? Why that happened to me and all that? And now when things are not going under my skin as for others, I think it comes from that. And then it made me grounded. It made me more centered. It made me to think about, we do have plans, of course, but none of them is going to work. So I'm going to tell you all boy kids. So anyway, but so then going to Canada, working really hard, really. I remember for the first 3 years, I had only Sundays off.
Wow.
I was working, I was paying my rent. Until I started working in the dental office. So I was working in the dental office for almost 11 years and then I was coming back and forth, actually to Colorado, and then in a funeral, I met my husband. So if you guys, you remember the 4 wedding and a funeral, that was where I met Babak, my husband. So, and here we are after 27 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. And I didn't know that you were Kurdish Iranian, so it's my first time learning that. I didn't Kurdish background as well.
Yes, I do have a Kurdish background. Yes, my father was from one part of Iran, we call it Kermanshah. And so the Kurdish woman, that's another thing. Iranian, we are always proud for one reason we find that so they call them very strong-headed. Of course, I hope my husband doesn't listen to that. But if he does, yes, she is. Yes.
He will agree with that.
Tell me about it. So yes, I do have a Kurdish background, and they have that kind of a mindset. And we lived in Kurdistan, Iran, for almost more than 5 years. So my father was going from places to places every 2 years. So in Kurdistan. So then,
So how many languages do you speak fluently?
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, I don't even think that I speak fluent English. Again, you do? Ask my husband. Okay, did you say past sentence or whatever? So I learned Dari, but I shouldn't even say Dari because Dari and Farsi are almost the same. So I know how to communicate with our clients. So I speak Farsi. I start going back to learn Turkish language. It's been 2 years that I watch Turkish movies and listening to a lot of them, talk to people that they speak Turkish language. And write. I've learned that one of the good things for prevention of Alzheimer is learning different languages. I mean, when I say prevention of Alzheimer, I mean, after a certain age, I am not working on new skills or whatever. I'm working on prevention. So I need to go back and look at myself, what bothers me, what doesn't, what helps me to stay focused. So that's what I do. And then now I think my Turkish becomes pretty good. But I mean, pretty good. Not fluent. 2 years ago, I was in Turkey, Istanbul, and then it seems like I could get along with, I could have a conversation with people. I mean, but I could get by, talking to people. So now you can count the languages.
That's good. Yeah.
It's amazing. So Iran, Turkey, Canada, and U.S., right?
Correct.
So what are I'm sure that everywhere you've been to, there's some type of cultural differences, like culture shock in way to Turkey, even though it's kind of like similar culture, but from Turkey to Canada, it's totally different, right?
Correct.
You say you didn't drive, so you need to in Toronto you have to take the bus, and we all know famous in Turkey, as a Canada, of because it's so cold there.
Correct.
And coming to the U.S. So how were like all this different culture shock play out for you from Turkey, Canada, U.S., not only anywhere but like Colorado?
Actually, interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to play with words. I'm not sure about that word that we are using, a culture shock, because if you want to look at it as a shock, it can be a shock. If you are trying to look at it as adjustment, adjustment. For me, again, comes back from the age. And I don't know, Rossi, I had... when I go back and I look at myself as just a individual, I don't think, maybe again that's what I think, I didn't have a lot of expectation through my life. Like, I just accepted certain things. Of course, people can be happy or unhappy and all that. Definitely between Turkey and Canada, I could see a difference, a huge difference. Canada and United States, not as much. Iran and Turkey, almost this is the similar thing. You have to learn something in Middle East that people, they say things that they don't mean it. So you have to read between lines that, if they say this, do they mean this or not? So this is something that I learned when I got to Canada. If this is something that people, they mean what they say, so I don't need to really think about what they say. The paperwork was something that it was like, God, we do a lot of paperwork in this country, and then all that. So, and then definitely the difference between Canada and United States is the transportation system and then healthcare system. So I remember in certain time, I remember in February in Toronto, when I say cold, it's cold. So I was leaving the house around 5:30 in the morning when it was very dark to take the bus. But at the same time, the bus were on time. Everything was right, happening on time and all that. Unfortunately, I don't see that kind of a transportation here. And then other thing that we are even talking in our cultural orientation, it's being on time. I have to be honest with you, on time doesn't have a lot of meaning back home. So on time means if you say 1 o'clock is from 1 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it depends when you feel like you just show up. So I learned to be on time, and I was quite on time because of my father, that he was, he was working he was a police officer. So I learned that, thank God, when I was younger. But being on time, something that I learned in Canada, and then right now when I do teach cultural orientation, I am really emphasize on that, because your time is as important as my time. So remember that this is respect for me as much as I do have respect for you. So let's be on time. So the cultural difference, it's huge. I mean, let's say eating out. We don't have that. I remember when I was in elementary school, we used to go to a sandwich place every Friday night, because we are off only Friday, the day off. And my God, from Thursday night, I was going through the menu, which was 4 sandwiches, back and forth, and I was changing my mind until I would get to the place it called Rex. Like, I was saying, okay, did I say I want to have hot dog, or do they want to have a salami or whatever? So that was a big deal. And that's something that I really missed that. I should say the appreciation of going out.
Yeah.
So appreciation of, wow, this is like an outing for us. Now you just grab and go, and then we love that grab and go. I mean, it's not for me. I mean, my kids, they eat out, and of course, but yeah, that's some stuff like that is so different cultural wise than here, or like having brunch. Like, I remember my mom used to say, "Who pays for egg?" Like, we don't pay $10 for egg. And then now when I tell that to my daughter Isla, sometimes says, "Oh, my favorite food is brunch." I said, "Who pays for brunch?" But you do pay for brunch. So it's a good thing. Again, back to how grateful I am that I have that, and I have this, and then I can just think about it, and then feel like with whatever I had a fulfilled life that I can go back, revisit, come back, and think about. I'm glad that I had the both worlds for sure.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, speaking about languages, still, I have a little bit of a story that I can tell you. Like, I never knew that I would be mad that somebody doesn't speak English. So until I got here, and I went to like one of these telephones, like carriers. I don't want to name them. And I got there, and like I wanted service. It was like, oh, I want this, I want that, and just like the guy was like, no English. I was like, we're in America. Who does it? Like you're supposed to provide services and you don't speak English. And I was so mad. Like when we talk, you're talking about like learning about languages that it is even, it is very crucial when you go to work, when I don't think you would get a better job if you don't speak like the language, But it was it was my little bit of history that I was like story that I was mad that somebody don't speak English. I was really mad. It's like being an immigrant. I didn't think that I would be mad that somebody doesn't speak English. It was like, English is our second or third language.
Right.
But yeah. So a little bit of like that meant Colorado and Iran. Like Iran they have a lot of mountains, they have a lot of like hills, and Colorado and the Rockies, like the landscape.
Right.
How do you love the weather? How do you like, the Colorado landscape? Like for 27 years, you moved to Colorado, you never went to another state.
I did.
You did?
Yes. I lived in Colorado for 4 years, and then we moved to California. Walnut Creek for almost 2 years, us, 3 years, Bobak, my husband. Then we came back here. 6-7 years later, we went back to California, Cupertino, all Northern California. Then another 2-3 years, and then we came back to Colorado. So between Colorado and California, we moved around a couple of times. So yeah, I've been to different states since 27 years that I've lived in.
How those two states, and like how those states relate to the home country?
Actually, I can tell, if you live in Southern California, it's funny because Iranian, they call Los Angeles Irangeles. I don't know why they brought this up, but they do. And I find it funny. We go somewhere and we take over. So, and if they speak English, they said, why do you speak English? Because we are in the United States. but we lived in Northern California. So Northern California, it was so different than Southern California. We went there because my husband's Bobak's job took us there. Very different, actually. I should say now, for past few years, I can see the diversity in Colorado more. But back then, definitely the diversity in California wasn't something to compare to Colorado. It's a expensive state, of course, everybody knows to live, but definitely I prefer the weather in California. I'm not a very much cold, I don't like cold. And I think the cold, it comes with age as well. So the older you get, like the cold is more hard in your body, and then it just prevents your movement or do exercise. Not that I do a lot of exercising, but anyway. So it is very, very different, California than Colorado. But of course, we are back here. Life circumstances, it makes you move around. I've been married for 27 years, and I moved like maybe 11 times from even one apartment to a house to apartment. I cannot sit still. So anytime I tell, I think maybe I'm going to stay here. And then, of course, my family, they said, you're not going to stay anywhere. That's not your personality. Yeah. So even in Colorado, I lived in east, west, south of Colorado. So I love to move around. Every 2-3 years, as soon as I find my comfort zone, then I like to learn to move somewhere else. I lived in an apartment. I live in a big house. I lived in a townhouse, which is I do right now. So anywhere you say, I'm just ready to move, but it comes because I think I'm a minimalist. So I don't have much of everything. I don't know, I don't need it. So that's the reason if you tell me pack and go, I pack and go. Yeah. So, I try to learn how to live, hopefully.
Yeah. That's what you're saying is really important. I'm just catching it again. You say you're a minimalist and you don't really need much of everything.
Right.
In the U.S., especially in Colorado, some of the things that also we'll be talking about is how everything around us, it just seems like everybody just always wants more. Like people are not content with what they have. As an immigrant here in the U.S., working with refugees, and what are some of the things that you will encourage a refugee to to appreciate about their life?
In the beginning, I talked about what helps us all, refugee, immigrant, or whomever, it's patience to having a true life. Just that kind of a fast pace of I want to buy a car, I want to do this, I want to do that. We get it, then we want something else. We get it, we want something else. So being a minimalist, it comes from being an immigrant, but at the same time, that's something that I liked about myself, and I start really working on that. So it's an all progress of learning things. So going back to all, if we are talking about the refugees or immigrant, it just, to be able to adjust and be content, it's something that we need to learn through our lives. Again, as we were talking, and Ian mentioned about not knowing how to learn English. For me, this is crucial. For making your life better, we prove that we are here to make our life better. We are not here to be a burden to other people. We work, we pay taxes, we live like everybody else, and we give so much to this society. I don't think people are able to see that. Not everybody, but the one that they have some issues with that. So then us as an immigrant, we have to prove that we are working to make our life better, because it affect the society. It starts from within the household. How you live, you teach your children, and then it goes bigger and bigger to your community, to your city, to your state, and all that. So try to focus. Actually, saving. I always come back to the saving. Let's try to save. I mean. We don't need to have whatever everybody else has. How much I can afford. I have an iPhone 10, I guess. So when I take it, they have to fall it apart to find out what iPhone is that. And then every single time they tell me, oh, you don't want anything else. And I can afford to have iPhone, I don't know, 14 or whatever. But if I don't need it, I don't need it. Again, time comes, of course. I'm not going to be here and suffer if I can afford something. Yeah. But that's what we have to work on. Okay, if I need to live in a 2-bedroom apartment for time being, if my wife has to work, let's do that. We are here to adjust with this culture. Mm-hmm. This culture is not supposed to adjust with us. We liked it. We came here. Mm-hmm. So otherwise we would have stayed where we are. So the idea of changing the place that we are going, if it's not for the better, I'm against it. Mm-hmm. So let's adjust ourselves and then make everybody's life, everybody's city a better place to live.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit. After you've shared all of your life experience with us, I want to kind of talk about the work that you do here in Denver now, working with other refugees, former refugees, immigrants, asylum seekers. You kind of work with a broad spectrum of people right now. And I wonder just what that kind of does for you in getting to do that kind of work. Do you feel fulfilled in getting to do that work? And is it something that you feel like is kind of the thing that you're most passionate about in terms of work life? I know you have a family and things like that you're passionate about, but in that way. And then also just kind of how all of you already had a multifaceted identity, even just from being Kurdish and Iranian, right? And yes. that's already a diverse identity, right? And then traveling to Turkey, traveling to Canada, kind of picking up all these things on your belt, right? That shift your identity and that mold you into who you are now. So how do you feel like all these experiences have also maybe impacted your identity and impacted the work that you do now?
Sure. The first thing I have to say that you asked me about my job. Mm-hmm. If I tell you that I love what I do, I'm not exaggerating. I love what I do. Yeah. I tell my daughter that on Sunday, I'm excited for Monday. And then she says, what's wrong with you, Mom? And I mean that. Yeah. I just, the whole thing, it's so close to my heart. I can really relate to this, to all of them. I cannot even explain to you how much I love what I do. I answer people's phone call at 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. If they do not have an interpreter, if they text me a few times that they are stuck in UC Health or whatever, I will definitely, UC Health is going to be really upset that I said that they cannot find any interpreter. I'm going to be there. I listen to them. I find myself, I'm a very good listener. I became a good listener. I wasn't like that. Again, the whole thing about progress, I'm trying to be a better person. I used to cut people off, in the middle of their sentence, I would say the story of my life, and now I'm trying to let them finish. So it's just working on all that. So I became a very good listener. I always liked working with people. Even in Canada, I worked for the Cancer Society. I worked the time that I started working 5 days a week, I worked extra day, and I worked in the Cancer Society as a volunteer. When I got married, I stopped working. I used to work in a dental office in downtown. I worked in a gathering place, Women's Beam Project. They all were volunteer work. Started working in ACC through a very good friend of mine, Farah. Thanks to her, she introduced ACC to me. I did volunteer work at ACC, and then little by little, I start becoming a contractor. I worked for IRC and also a place called Rocky Mountain Welcome Center, another nonprofit organization that I do have English classes there. And we started to having a ESL classes on Mondays, and then we're going to start doing that when the school is going to start. But my passion and I don't know, the connection that I have, it's ACC. ACC is my convenience store that I love to shop. I like to go around. I like people that I'm working with. And then other organizations like Costco is huge. I cannot navigate my way around. So I am back and forth. I'm contracted with City Council of Denver. We are encouraging, I had a few City Hall meetings that we encourage communities, mostly Afghan, to come and talk about what issues they have with transportation. It's a big project going on with the name of Evans Corridor, and I'm working with the City Council of Denver with this project. So you see health, immigration, bits and pieces of everything, but again, it all goes back to ACC. I've been with ACC for many, many years. I teach classes. I got the certification for cultural orientation, intake, and all that. So people, they think like I am teaching people. Believe it or not, I'm learning from them. I mean, every single time that I sit in my car, if I want to complain about anything, not that all the immigrant, they're having a miserable life, none of that, but it make me grounded, and it make me so content, and it makes me appreciate. And then the smile that you see on all these people from where they are coming from, with what kind of a hardship, and then they are still having hope, and they are still planning. The 60 years old man that he lost his leg, and now he's working in a laundromat, and then he's still looking to find a better job. Then when it comes and I'm thinking, oh my God, today is a hot day and my car is hot, and I'm saying, okay, Maryam, just quiet, you know.
You remind yourself.
Exactly. I always try to remove myself from my situation, and look back and then look at it as a broad, and then give myself, like, acknowledgement of how grateful I should be. Mm-hmm. And I think for myself, I have my issues with God that we go back and forth.
Of course. We all do.
I know what's wrong. Like, what's going on? You forgot about me.
Yeah, we all do.
But at the same time, it's just no job can make me feel that great that this one does. When I get, I wake up in the morning and I get a text from someone that yesterday was my first day of my work, and you came to the King Super with me and Maryam Khanum or whatever, and I'm so grateful. And they're just like, what else do you want? Or if they pray for my kids, that I wish your kids get anything they want and all that. So it's just no other work for me. It can bring me so much joy and happiness. I have my moments, so you can ask some clients, I mean, seriously. But at the same time, it just, oh, God, it's just nothing is like it. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah.
So maybe as we going toward the end of this interview, but hey, I want to say, Neymar, now we know that you are Jack.
Yeah, Jack or Jake.
I'm gonna be drinking that in your face every day. Sure. We like to talk about a little bit of mental health and as immigrant, most of the countries that we came from, we don't have that talk. We don't acknowledge. Yeah, we don't acknowledge it. We feel like, oh, we are tough. We came to the United States. We have, with the background that you have, from Iran to Turkey to Canada to US, what can you tell us about mental health? What can we do to make ourselves better mentally as immigrant, as a society, as well? so that we don't become like too much of a burden in society that we live in. But again, so we don't have to be, much of a burden on the society that we came from.
Sure. I'm really in for counseling. I saw a counselor as soon as I got to Canada, because again, I had a journey that just we leave it as just a journey, and then I right away I start seeking to see someone, because the idea of why me, it was really got to me. And then it just the whole idea of why that happened. When you do your journey, you don't have time to think about it. Everything in life, immigrant, refugees, hardship in life, when you are in it, you cannot think. When you are leaving it, then your body reacts. At least mine is like that. So when I'm in something, if I have issues with my children, if I have issues at home or at work, when I'm there, I'm 100% mentally there. So I don't give myself time to reflect. As soon as everything starts to settling in and calming down, then my body reacts to that. So I practice Sufism, so it's kind of it's a myth that I follow up on that. We believe what we get, we have to give it back to the ground. So what we get from the God, it goes through us when we give it back to the God. So what happened is, I think I am quite aware of my feeling. I work on that to be able to know today I have to rest. Sometimes I'm not sick and I say today I'm sick, because I want to act like I'm sick, because my body needs to shut down and then I need to calm myself down. Unfortunately, in our countries, if you see a counseling or something like that, they think you're crazy. And I always say that to our client, that remember, the best thing if you notice and you realize you need to see someone. Absolutely talking to your friend, family, and all that is good, but they will tell you what you want to hear, because they know you. But when you see the third person, and then they are a specialist for that, and they went to school to be able to help you out, that's what you need the help for. So I did see counseling many sessions in Canada, and I become hooked. So every 2-3 years, even not something going on, I try to see a counseling. Again, I just want to reflect of what I feel with the kind of job that I have. Sometimes it's like the stories that you are hearing, it's like heartbreaking. Like, I cannot even fall asleep. And still, it doesn't make, still I love my job. But at the same time, like it was about a year ago that I asked for 10 sessions of counseling, just to go and talk, just clear my head. So, and then something else that's just me saying it. The fast pace of our life, that rat race that we live in, it's really affecting everybody's mind. For you, if you sit down and basically do nothing, the art of doing nothing, I can be master of that. If you ask my friends, when I'm going out, hanging out with them, I'm just all there. But I will never wake up and grab my phone. It's impossible until I leave the house. I don't do that. And then usually when I'm sitting somewhere, you don't see my phone. I try to be engaged with people that they are around me. And at night or in the evening, I usually don't have my phone, like most of the time after 7-8 o'clock. If Ayla and Nima are doing okay, then all is good. So I can put my phone aside. So, if you know it's something, nobody knows it's something wrong except yourself. Yeah. The first thing, you should be truth to yourself. Be honest with yourself. It's okay. whose life is perfect. So if you think it just something is not right, go seek help or sit back and find out what's the problem is. You know what is the problem is. I do not buy that oh, I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. So give yourself some time, maybe for one person 2 hours, for one person 10 days. That's okay. I mean, we are not depressed if we are sitting by ourselves. There's nothing wrong with us. It's nothing wrong with us. We are not in all the social medias. Actually, we are trying to learn how to live without it, as we did 40 years ago. So I think you come, you try to adjust. That's a lot of work. The bigger your family size is, the more difficult it becomes. Acknowledge that, pat your shoulder and say, it's okay, I'm able to figure it out. Do not stay to where you were. That's the more you stay, nothing will change. The first thing, we touch our knees, we get up and we move. We fall, of course we fall. That's the story of our lives and everybody else. And then again, we do have a knee, we get up and we fall. As I mentioned to you, I have a person that doesn't have a feet, but he's still looking for a better job.
Thank you. And then before I ask the last question, that just like explain everything while you talking about how when you are somewhere you leave your phone and you want to be engaged. I've seen Farah's phone a couple times in the office and she wasn't around. Last time, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, her phone was in the lobby while she was talking to someone in the office.
Even Maryam, you'll see sometimes Maryam would be looking for her phone. She'll be in the office. She'll be like, where's my phone? And it's left on top of the printer or something like that because she's busy.
So, I mean, and you too, it's like, sometimes your little office corner.
Yes.
I will go in there and you are not in, but your laptop and phone is in.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it's that just explains everything. So yeah, this is just so. Thank you so much for sharing. I just feel like people, immigrant, and anybody watching this will be inspired by your story and your wisdom that comes with the age, like you said. So. Yeah, we are so truly grateful and happy to have you today.
Ditto to you. Thank you very much, guys. I really greatly appreciate you guys working with you. You guys are all awesome. And I cannot be more grateful and humble to be able to work around people from different background. What I learned, maybe I don't bring it up, but God knows that deep down, even Ian bothers me sometimes, but I say,
all of us, we all say that.
I love it.
That cannot be on the podcast.
His sense of humor is absolutely my son loves it. I do love it, and I greatly appreciate that you guys you had the interest to talking to me, and I'm more grateful.
Thank you. We have one more question before we let you go. We like to kind of end on a light note, and we like to ask everybody what their favorite food is from their culture. So what's the name of the food and what is in it and why should everybody try it?
Well, of course, you ask any Iranian, they're going to say cholo kebab. Cholo is a rice, that kind of a rice that you, basically you strain the rice with saffron. And kebab is like a shish kebab, so it has a ground meat. Some people, they mix two kind of a ground meat together, beef and lamb. Some they do beef with onion. The way that they do it in Iran, they cook it on top of the charcoal barbecue. Here they do it in different, barbecue. And the reason I think I suggest people to try it because you cannot go wrong with rice and meat.
Yeah.
So the rice and meat, it's for every country, and everybody has it. The way we prepare it, or I don't know how to do it, but I just know how to eat it. So you use some kind of a cardamom, they call it sumac or sumac, on top of that, and then it just so delicious. So I have to go and get some chole kebab after that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maryam, for being here. Like Rosie said, we're all very inspired by you continuously and getting to work with you. And we're very grateful that you were able to join us today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. You have a wonderful weekend. And I'm so happy to be here and part of your podcast. I know you guys are going to do great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to everybody tuning in, thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought about today's episode and what you'd like to hear in the next episodes. And be sure to follow us on all forms of social media, as well as to check us out wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks so much. Take care.